Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm Terrell Turner, the host of several of the Business Talk Library shows. And I know a lot of you have been asking because you've been loving the interviews. You've been loving what we've been putting out there, which is great. Thank you guys for all your love. But one of the things you've been asking for is, hey, can you do more conversations on finance for business owners? Because you've seen all the 300 plus interviews that we've done where we've interviewed business owners, business leaders from all around the world. And one of the questions that a lot of people have for me, they know that my background is accounting and finance. So they're asking questions about, hey, can you talk a little bit more about the financial side of, being a business owner? Because to be completely honest with you, you'll hear a lot of people talking about, how to get clients. They'll talk about the marketing. They'll talk about the sales side. They'll talk about, how to get your product here. They'll talk about how to do drop shipping, how to, have an internet-based business. And all of these great things. And there is nothing wrong with any of that. But you very rarely hear people talking about understanding the financial side of running a business. And so that's what we're going to be focused on this new content format, is really just talking about the financial side of running a business, where we're going to really be digging into some topics. So definitely shoot over to the businesstalklibrary.com, follow me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. If you have questions about the financial side of your business, definitely let me know, because I've been doing a lot of traveling. I mean, with doing trainings in the Midwest, trainings on the East Coast, be doing some stuff out on the West Coast, been doing things internationally. I've been on different radio shows. I mean, there's a segment that I've been on in Columbia, South Carolina called Show Me the Money, which, we stopped doing the segment, but a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, what happened to that segment? When are you going to bring it back? So we're going to be going back to radio as well. And we're going to be talking about showing me the money. And because there are so many people that are trying to really, really make a big impact with their business, or they're trying to grow their business. They're just trying to have a better business, period. And no one's ever really taken the time to help them understand the financial side of it. So we're going to definitely be doing a lot of that. Now, today I'm gonna keep it short, because my goal is to keep these things to be short, to be concise. We have some more long format stuff that we'll do elsewhere, but for these videos, I really want to keep it short and really hit a specific point. Now, today, what I want to really talk about is, really why your numbers matter, because a lot of people are, you know, the numbers kind of fade to the background. Most people, when they start a business, they don't start a business because they're really interested in learning the numbers. They're really interested in focusing on the accounting. Most people, what I usually hear them say is, oh, I have an accountant, my accountant takes care of that. Or and one of the funny things that I ask them a lot of times when they say, oh, my accountant takes care of that, and I ask them, okay, how often do you and your accountant have a conversation about this? And most of them say, well, we really don't talk about it. So what I'd then say is that, well, you may be paying an accountant to do this, or you may be thinking that you are paying an accountant to do this. But if you don't understand the numbers, it really doesn't matter as much, because you won't be able to know if you're making the right decisions in your business, because you don't know your numbers. I mean, I'd say, imagine it this way. Like, a lot of people, they want to start a business because they want to make money, but then they do the very things that lead them to not make money. So my thing is, like, if you started a business and you want to make money in your business, it's probably in your best interest to actually look at the numbers to see, are you really making money? Like, what tweaks and what changes do you need to make? So that's really why you really need to pay attention, and why the numbers really matter. And just so, for those of you that are new, that if you've never seen some of my content, here's a quick rundown on who I am. So my background is accounting and finance. I'm the founder of the TL Turner Group, which is a bookkeeping and fractional CFO firm. We provide bookkeeping and CFO support for business owners, small to medium-sized businesses. Um, well, also, I'm a 40 under 40 CPA, a nationally recognized for the great work that I'm doing in the CPA community, as well as just being a professional in my field. And then also my firm, the TL Turner Group, we were recognized in the New York Times as a business that you would love. And also outside of that, my educational background, that's there. Went to Lander University, and went to Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame, to get a master's degree in accounting. And then I have several different shows that we've done. Now, the Business Talk Library is probably where you've seen a lot of the content that we produce, where we're producing as much as like 3 different shows a week. I mean, a lot of work, but it's fun because it allows us to be able to share a lot of this insight, a lot of the things that we're learning with a lot of different people and a lot of different business owners. So that's a little bit about my background. Now, back to the topic of why the numbers matter. Now, if you're going to be a business owner, you need to really grasp these. Now, these are 3 things. So, 3 very distinctive things and reasons why your numbers matter. The first one is really when it comes down to bookkeeping. I mean, it really comes down to that factor of, do you actually know your numbers? I mean, and how you know your numbers is having good records. Now, if you don't have good records, there's no way in the world you're ever going to know your numbers. I mean, having good records is the starting point. Now, one of the things that I tell a lot of people is, if you don't have good records, or you don't have a way of tracking how your business is doing financially, there's no way in the world you're ever going to be successful. I mean, it's almost like if you're trying to play a sport without keeping score. I mean, like, for a lot of people who like, soccer, or for different parts of the world, they call it football. So let's say you're watching a soccer game and you're just seeing people going up and down the field and no one is tracking score. You guys are just running up and down the field. Eventually, that gets very boring because you don't know if the team is doing well. You don't know what's happening. You don't know, how much time is left on the clock. I mean, and that's what bookkeeping does. It helps keep score. It helps you understand what's going on. So when you're looking at your business, you know what's going on. Because a lot of people, one of the things that they end up telling me is, they say, you know what, I want to make more money in my business. I'm asking you, okay, how much money are you making now? And when I ask them that question, most of them don't know. Then I'm like, how are you going to know if you're making more money or less money if you don't know how much money you're making right now? And what I end up finding is a lot of people gauge it based on how they feel. Because when I look through the numbers, a lot of people, they just feel like they're not making enough money. And part of that is because they're looking at social media, or they're looking at TV, and they're looking at somebody else who's like super wealthy, and they're like, well, I'm not like Jeff Bezos, so I must not be making enough money. I'm like, let's not judge that based on your feelings. Let's actually go look at the numbers in your business and let's see, how much money are you actually making? Once we get a baseline, because you have good records, then we can start to figure out, okay, all right, here's where you are today. Where do you want to go tomorrow? And what is that going to look like? And then we can take a look at those type of things and really develop a strategy. So that is why step number 1 of why your number matter is bookkeeping, is having good records. Because if you aren't tracking the score, then you really aren't going to do a great job if you aren't really tracking the score. So you want to make sure that you are looking at the score, and you want to make sure that you are paying attention to that. The second thing is really in gross margin. Now, why your numbers matter is because you need to know your gross margin. Now, there are tons of business owners that say they want to make more money. And I always tell them, if you do not understand what your gross margin is, you're going to struggle on trying to make money, because you need to know what that number is, because that's probably one of the most critical factors to your strategy, is knowing your gross margin. So you want to make sure that you are understanding what is your gross margin, because once you understand that number, that will open the door for you. Now, here's a quick way for you to calculate what your gross margin is. It's take the price of your product or your service minus the cost to deliver that product or that service. You take the price minus the cost. That's what your gross margin is. And you want to make sure you're monitoring that, and you want to look at that across all of your products. Because what I often find when I'm working with so many different businesses, and like I said, we've talked to over 300 businesses in the past year. We work with several of them and digging into the numbers. And one of the things that we clearly find is most of them have been spending most of their time trying to sell the product that they think is the top product, that they think is a good product. But when we really looked at the numbers, what we were realizing is a lot of people were spending time trying to sell a product that they were either losing money on, or they just didn't make that much money on. And so they were working really, 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 really hard, and they weren't making that much money. And so by understanding the gross margin and making a few tweaks, they were able to make some better decisions and actually see themselves make more money and work less. The third one is really comes down to cash flow. Now, cash flow, it's I always tell people it's similar to like food and water. I mean, whenever you think about it, like you need food and you need water to survive. I mean, you're gonna constantly consuming food now, at depending on like your lifestyle and how active you are, you're gonna be using that food, burning it up for energy. So you're gonna be burning that off a lot. But the thing is, if you're not putting more food in, like if you're burning off more calories than you're taking in, that only works for a little while, because eventually what's going to happen is your body's going to have some problems. You're going to run into some serious health problems if you continue to burn more calories than you are consuming. Now, also on the other hand, if you're consuming a lot of calories, like you're eating a ton of food and you're not really getting much physical exercise, you're not really burning it off, eventually that's going to catch up with you too. So that's why you really need to pay attention to cash flow, because what cash flow tells me is one is, do you have enough cash coming into your business? Now, one of the very critical questions you ask yourself is, well, how much cash do I need to operate my business? That is a very important question. And that is an answer that, as a business owner, you need to know what that answer is. Like, as a business owner, you probably should always know, how much cash do you actually need to operate and run your business? If you don't know that answer, then you need to get with your bookkeeper, you need to get with your accountant, you need to get with your finance person, and you need to work with them so they can help you understand that. Because if you don't have enough cash to actually operate and fund your business, you're going to be in trouble and you're going to be hurting. Now, the other one is you want to look at and see, okay, all right, I don't want to have too much cash, flowing in my business, because I don't want the cash just sitting around doing nothing. Again, if you compare it back to, eating and drinking, if you're constantly eating and drinking way too much, I mean, eventually that's going to catch up with you and it's going to have a negative impact. I mean, where you're either going to gain weight, you're going to be sluggish, and it could lead to other health problems. And same thing in your business. If you're just hoarding cash in your business, but you're not actually using the cash wisely in your business to help your business grow, then you're going to have some challenges there too. So that's why you want to understand, what does your cash flow actually look like for your business? Because when you really get a good understanding of your cash flow, you can make some smart and some wise decisions in your business. So, those are three very critical areas of why the numbers matter in your business. Now, I know you probably didn't go into business because you wanted to be a finance expert, and I get it. And that is why, like I said, we're doing these trainings or we're doing these videos, because we actually have a ton of different trainings that we have. I mean, trainings, whether you're a restaurant owner, trainings of, this one is probably a favorite one that a lot of people like, is why you should fire your accountant, because most people are probably working with an accountant that you probably need to fire, because they're not doing your business justice. They're not really helping your business grow. They're not really doing what's best for your business. Also, the financial side of your business model. A lot of people understand the marketing message and they understand the story of their business. But when you actually ask them questions about their numbers and, hey, how does the financial picture of your business work? They can't answer that question. That's not good. So we definitely have some training and stuff for that. And then also how to pick the right finance help, because, I always tell people, every accountant is not created equal. You can't just pick a random accountant and say, hey, this is the person that's going to help me in my business. That's not the case. That's probably why we created the first training of why you need to fire your accountant, because a lot of people are working with the wrong person. And so what we've done is we've created all these courses, but what we realize is that, what, a lot of people needed just bits and pieces of some of the things in these courses. So what we are doing with this amazing series of finance for business owners, we're going to be creating regular shorter videos like this, where we talk about some very key topics and where we're going through some very things that you need to know, like today. We talked about, why the numbers matter. We talked about three very important things as to why the numbers matter and different things you can do to help your business move forward financially so you can see better results in different aspects of your business. So definitely stay tuned, keep coming back, because we're going to be putting out more and more free content where we're breaking down some of the critical areas in the finance part of your business.